Hello, good people. I hope you are all doing well. Today I want to walk you through how to use this synthesis grid. I think it's a really useful tool as you are making your way through this argument essay process. So I'm hoping at this point you've gone through the lesson in terms of understanding the research guidelines and that you've reviewed the questioning stance that you want to take with your sources, and that you perhaps have even started doing some research on your topic. And once you get to the point where you have read through some sources, you've made some selections, then it's time to really think about what you're actually going to use from the source material in your essay. So that's the point where this tool will come in really handy. So I want to walk you through it. I have put this file that looks just like this one, including these comments over here, to explain what each of the cells means, but I'll walk you through it right now. So this first one is pretty straightforward. You just want to include the source citation if it's a website, which in this case, this is all coming from one of the essays in the FAB collection. So I did talk about or review earlier in the PowerPoint that .com sources are not quite so ideal, but in some cases, especially with very current topics, there may not be a lot of scholarly research quite yet. So you have to make a really good decision as far as the sources you're going to use. So I'm going to continue as if I'm the researcher for this topic. And the general topic is social media and negative impact. And if you've read through the essay itself, it does focus on youth. And so when I did a little bit of research, that's what I focused on. So here, just to keep it simple, it could be a very quick copy and paste of the source information. And I will talk later in a lesson about how to cite your sources in terms of your works cited and incorporating your source material into the paragraph. But that's the lesson after this. So in this column, you're going to take the direct quotes that you're using from the source and drop that there. And then this one is explaining what the direct quote means in your own words. All right, so you don't have to do like really formal language in this. It's just a way for you to process and show. And it's another way to kind of shine a light on the fact that you need to be able to explain what the source is saying, the they say aspect of it. And then here is your voice. So you're responding to that direct quote from your own point of view. So let's just take a look at this. So this source is saying, out of 2,000 women surveyed about social media honesty, it was concluded that, quote, 30% of those women admitted to lying about doing something interesting, when in reality they were at home alone. So I just, cut to the chase and said this is a negative in terms of impact. People are not truthful in their representation of themselves on social media. That's what this source is saying. And then in my own words, I'm thinking it's very easy to portray the person you want to be rather than the person you are. So there's more to say about that, but I have enough there that I feel like I've captured what I want to capture. And it's unusual that you would only have one quote from one source. So let's assume that there was other interesting, relevant information, and that I might have another 2 or 3 quotes minimally from this source. So now I want to take you through the process of going through another source. So I'm just going to pause this for a second and get my next slide up. Hold on. Okay, so we are now on a Gale article, and in an earlier slide I had walked through on the slides how to access all kinds of information through Tunxis Community College, the My Library website. So, and I included links to some really quick and easy YouTube tutorials about how to do this. It really is simple. So I went through and did a little couple of clicks of research in the Gale opposing viewpoints selection, which can be really helpful. And I just typed in impact of social media on youth. And I scrolled through maybe 10 sources and I found this one, Marketing to Youth in the Digital Age, the Promotion of Unhealthy Products and Health Promoting Behaviors on Social Media. So this makes me just want to refer back to an earlier slide where I said when you're evaluating sources and you look at titles, like this suggests a more scholarly title, right? This is not something you would see on Twitter or some other kind of more popular site. It gives you the date and the authors from Media and Communication, which is a scholarly journal. There is an abstract here. It's a long article and it's a high lexile. When you get to like above 1400, that's college level. And this abstract is actually really helpful. So I went through and skimmed the article before and determined that it would be really useful for me in this paper, this argument about the negative impact of social media on youth. And so what you would want to do is, read the article and make some annotations, which you can assume at this point that I've already done. And now I'm at the point where I'm going to select some direct lines that I want to use in my paper, at least at this point, right? So I'm going to scroll down to this part, youth exposure to promotion and marketing of unhealthy products on social media. So this line right here, there is overwhelming evidence that children, adolescents, and young adults are exposed to and influenced by marketing of unhealthy products in traditional media. So I'm going to, I'm going to go to the next line now that I'm looking at this, because that was about traditional media and we want to talk about social media. So the internet provides marketers with an array of new channels and tools for disseminating their messages. However, the advent of social media has fundamentally altered the marketing landscape, moving young audiences from passive recipients of advertising to active participants in the co-creation and dissemination of marketing messages. Unlike traditional forms of advertising that target potential customers with ads, companies that join in the complex network of relations of social media befriend their customers, which is a particularly appealing approach for companies wanting their consumers to express their personality through brand association. In the following sections, we outline how youth are exposed to and interact with messages from companies selling unhealthy food and beverages, alcohol, and tobacco on social media. So actually this part is more of an overview, but boy, there's some good material there that I would want to directly quote, right? So this first one is about childhood and adolescent obesity as a global health challenge. Let's see. Let's take this one. So the promotion of energy-dense and nutrient-poor food and beverages on social media is well documented in marketing case studies of successful campaigns. So I like that, right? I feel like that definitely suggests a negative impact, right? So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to go back to my and this is obviously a longer quote, so we can certainly make adjustments. So I've put that in there. I want to go back and get my source material. And the nice thing about this is that it will give you, see, this is a great article with lots of good information. So I would definitely be mining this. There's a section about tobacco and healthy eating, alcohol. So there's a lot of really good info. All right, so the nice thing about this is it gives you a little cite. So I can drop this citation right in my document, and that will make it really easy for me later when I have to do my works cited page. So I'm just going to drop that in there. And I just did something wonky with the format, but because it wants to keep it all in the same. So I can adjust that and make it look a little bit better, but you get the idea, I think. All right, so my next step I would probably continue to go through the article and drop in several more they say quotes. Then I would be going back in and explaining, let's take that out for a second, what this direct quote means in my own words. So this one, I would say also it's a negative, and this is making a case that social media contributes to increased unhealthy choices for young people, particularly with poor food and beverage choices. All right, I probably would, I'd extend this and I would refer back to that article because there is so much really compelling information in that research. And then here in the I say, then I would talk about the fact that social media is very suggestive and compelling for youth audiences. And I would continue from there to talk about, like, to talk about the various ways that marketing works, and works in this way probably better and more effectively than traditional ad campaigns in the past. So that's the idea in terms of how you are going to use this. So you would end up with several pages on this synthesis grid, and it's really like the meat of your argument essay, and it will make it, I think, easier for you when you go to the next step, which would be to start writing the body paragraphs, and organizing your main parts of your argument into categories. So there's a lot of different ways to go about that. And again, that's going to be in an upcoming lesson. So your goal for right now should be selecting your 4-ish credible sources, a mixture of sources, and then really mining those sources for the material that you're going to use to really inform your argument, and then the direct quotes you're going to use in the argument essay.